Well, I think that this is rooted in the net zero madness that Stormont embraced without any proper scrutiny or without any proper thought of the consequences. And now they're hoisted on their own petard. And it is very striking that those who were the strongest disciples of net zero are the very people who were campaigning the hardest for the A5. And here it is, a casualty of their folly in seeking to impose that which is wholly unworkable, namely the net zero madness. So in that sense, I don't have any sympathy for the politicians who talk themselves into this position. I do have a lot of concern.
Well, climate change is important, Jim, is it not?
It's important, but it's important in that we should all seek to leave the planet in a better state than we found it. But to think that puny man is going to change the climate, I think is folly in the extreme.
Well, puny man, to use your term, is certainly damaging it.
He certainly is. But now we're damaging ourselves with the pursuit of an unworkable net zero ambition, which now is strangling government action and wasting millions of pounds. How many millions of pounds have not already been wasted on the A5? The bulldozers are in, land has been vested, farmers have been driven off their land, and because the department rushed ahead and it thought it could simply bulldoze this through. And now a judge has brought them up short by saying, well, sorry, this is your policy, and your policy is not met by this project. And that, I think that the way forward in this, insofar as there is one, is a much more modest proposition, which would accord with the traffic flows on that road, because they're not huge in terms of other roads which haven't been improved. And I think, yes, there are road safety issues, but you don't have to build a state-of-the-art dual carriageway for over 50 miles to meet those safety concerns. You can repair and improve this road much cheaper and much better and much less in conflict with Stormont's own policies. And one of my fears is here that we could see Stormont following the folly of the Welsh government, who passed similar climate change legislation and then announced an end to all road infrastructure. Well, we can't afford that approach. And the other thing I fear is that Stormont might seek to balance this by further assaults on climate bases on the agriculture industry in order to try and make up for the emissions it's going to generate on this road. I remember the debates on the Climate Change Act in Stormont, and the SDLP were the most doctrinaire enthusiasts for the tightest possible Climate Change Act. And now they are reaping what they sowed. And this is about the Climate Change Act. That is the problem that's blocking this development. So the answer is in a much more modest proposition, which is safety-based, and then make the improvements that are necessary safety-wise. But the very idea that now suddenly this road should be prioritised at the expense of all other roads in order to set off climate change emissions is totally unacceptable, because all parts of the province need improvements to the roads, and we cannot sacrifice those needs to the provision of one gold-plated road such as is proposed for the A5. So they need to get real, both in terms of what they've signed up to in the Climate Change Act and tear it up if they can, but they also need to get real that they cannot impose priority for the A5 to the detriment of all other projects, which might not only be infrastructure projects. There might be further impositions put in the agriculture industry to set off further emissions, and that would be disastrous for our economy, which is so agriculture-based.
Well, Niall Blaney...